Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Calhoun's. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, literally. Calhoun's isn't just a great place for barbecue, fellas. They'll be having filet and shrimp, prime rib and shrimp, all kinds of specials. Already taking reservations right now at calhouns.com. You can learn more by going there. You can follow them on social media, Twitter, they're at Calhoun's. For that special occasion, Calhoun's is the place to go, and they've got locations all over East Tennessee. Have a good Valentine's Day. Go to Calhoun's. All right, I want to welcome in the next member of our panel. Bob Hodge joins us to talk a little football. Bob, thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Just for people, I always liked your line. People who don't know it, Bob was once a walk-on UT football program.
Yes.
And then was a walk-off.
Ran off.
Did they ask you to walk off, Bob?
He ran off. He wasn't run off. RUNOF.
A preferred walk-off.
I said to my dad, wow, they're big.
All right, we've got UT's tournament resume still to come and a breakdown of Tennessee's 2017 depth chart in the next two segments. Look at offense, defense, and compare it to Georgia's. That's probably going to be your SEC favorite, so we'll look at talent. But first I want to talk about the staff changes that finally came to pass this week. Let's take a look at this graphic. Now, Butch Jones had the same staff in 2013 and 14. In 2015, Mike DeBoard replaces Mike Bajakian as offensive coordinator. In 2016, Bob Shoop replaces John Jancic as defensive coordinator. You then get Scott as tight end special teams. Zerzan takes over strength and conditioning. This year, look at all the changes. Canales is in as quarterback. Hoke takes over for Stripling, defensive line. Wells takes over offensive line. Warren comes in as your DB and special teams coach, and Gullickson is now your strength and conditioning coach. And you'll notice there are three guys that were on that initial staff that are still here: Azani, Gillespie, Thigpen. That's it. When Butch Jones arrived, he said he wanted to put together the best staff in America. All right, I'm going to throw that out. Is this the best staff he's put together at Tennessee in your mind, or do you still have enough question marks that you say, I'm not going there yet?
I think on paper it is the best staff he's put together, and I think you can put a little bit more addition to that by saying Stripling gets kicked upstairs. He's still going to be with the program, and I thought he was a really good coach. The fact that you've retained him in some capacity is good, and so yeah, on paper I think it is. However, this time last year, how excited was everybody about Bob Shoop? Oh my gosh, best defensive coordinator we've had here since whenever. So take it with a grain of salt, but yes, on paper.
But I think you have made some upgrades as far as your recruiting goes, and that's a key in being able to get more into Atlanta maybe. I think some fans have a legitimate question about your offensive line coach. Was that the type of hire that makes your program better? Or does it keep it the same? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd agree with Chuck on that. I want to make this point, though. The fact that Butch has been able to put the most accomplished staff, which when you say on paper, I think that's what we mean when you look at these guys' resume, where they've been, the rings that they're wearing, that sort of thing. The fact that he's been able to do this and get through the waters of the Title IX, of the sexual assault investigations, of the probation that the team was under when he took over, of the fact that everybody else is also trying to get better, that he has been on this plane. And even last year with the injuries, and we've talked about it to death, but the fact that you still go 9-4 and win a third straight bowl game, I mean, I think this program is headed in a great direction. Now, all that said, who knows? It could be a train wreck in September. The biggest question is Larry Scott as a coordinator. But if you look at what he's accomplished and what he's surrounded himself with, I was one of those guys that said that is not an SEC staff. None of these guys that are left came with him from Cincinnati except for Strip, and he's inside now. So think about that. He has built an SEC staff, put the program on an upward plane despite all these choppy waters that he's been through.
Okay, in terms of the guys that came from Cincinnati, I see what you're getting at. But that first staff had some guys that when they brought in Thigpen, when they brought in Martinez, the response, well, okay, those guys have some SEC history.
But they weren't. I don't think that I agree with what your point is, John. I don't think those guys were as good as other coaches. I think Larry Scott is an upgrade when they got him.
Look, if you're hiring an offensive coordinator, it's interesting. I was hearing some things this week about what the Atlanta Falcons should do with their guys leaving, and the response was, why in the world you got a young quarterback? Why don't you promote from within? Why are you going outside? Keep the same offense, keep the same system, keep the same people who've worked with him. Is there no one on this staff that you can promote upwards? And I'm sitting there thinking, it's funny, at Tennessee, people did not want to promote upwards. They wanted to go out and get some guy with a different system.
What's Belichick done? Let me ask you that.
So he hires his own guys and then grows them up. And he never brings in anybody, ever. So I would look at Larry Scott, to me, as the hire I probably would have made. And not to mention the fact that last October you started angling him into that position and getting him more involved when you knew that DeBoer was going to walk away. Let me quickly put something up to brag on me. Do we have the other graphic? There we go. January 15th, you might remember we did this on the big board. My predictions for what the staff would look like. The red, I felt pretty good about. The green, didn't know about. But you see there, Larry Scott was predicted. Mike Canales, quarterback. Walt Wells, didn't feel great about it, but I went there. I thought he may keep Mahoney. Went there. Brady Hoke. The one I completely flubbed on was George Barlow.
Good old George.
There was a tie there to shoot, so I thought and Charlton Warren was nowhere. I heard no one talk about Charlton Warren. And then I put Wes Welker down there. I didn't think he'd get on there, but I put him in just because that was kind of news at the time, a quality control coach. You could get a guy from the NFL. He wound up on the Houston Texans staff.
Yeah.
So another guy, and Kevin O'Connell, who came in and interviewed for the quarterback, offensive coordinator slot. He was in for that. So he's now the quarterback coach for the Washington Redskins. So Butch Jones did talk to some people who have NFL jobs right now. You were going to say about
my
coaching
point.
staff. Well,
the
first of all,
point-
it's pretty good picks, weren't they?
Oh, they were fantastic picks.
John.
You would have known the staff if you'd
You
just been
are-
watching a month
You
ago.
were so glad I called you with that information.
It was great, yeah. Really?
But it's interesting to me that out of all these the staff changes, the biggest pressure I think is on Rock Gullickson, because he's the one that has made the biggest splash with the fans, and everybody is now thinking Tennessee's going to get a lot bigger, they're going to get a lot stronger, the offensive line is going to change. How many programs have that much pressure on your strength and conditioning guy walking through the door? I just think it's an interesting thing here at Tennessee. Of all the staff changes they made, the one that is almost 100% backed by the fans is Rock Gullickson.
All right, it came out this week. Walt Wells was promoted. The news came out that a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, he was picked up, hit with a DUI. It was his first offense. UT sent him to alcohol counseling, suspended him for 2 weeks. He's done everything they asked. He's crossed no line since. He pled guilty to reckless driving. The DUI was dismissed. Nothing in the past year. We got 30 seconds here. Is this a concern for anybody moving forward? It is not for me.
Don't
I understand
care.
the seriousness of a DUI, but that seems like a one-off
Right.
thing to me.
No, it doesn't bother
I
me.
agree.
No concern whatsoever.
Griff's been quiet.
Well, his resume compared with the other guys that got promoted.
I'm
to me,
talking about the
that
off-field thing.
No.
Okay. Yeah, resume-wise, I think he and Canales are the two that people look at and go, well, let's see.
Power 5 background, where is it, kind of thing.
Yeah. So, all right. See, I listen to you. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Vols 2 deep. We'll start with the offense. What kind of talent they have there? Interesting to see these players lined up as they may line up this fall. Come on back on the Sports Source.